Here on the Passenger Technology Solutions show floor, I'm joined by Mark from ECR Retail Systems. Mark, thank you very much for joining us. Tell us what you guys do.
Okay, no, thanks for taking the time to speak with me. So we're ECR Retail Systems. We've been around for about 40 years. For about 30 of those years we were a traditional EPOS company doing fixed tills in shops, in restaurants, hotels, etc. And about 10 years or so ago we started to move into the mobile point of sale area, predominantly with rail companies and bus companies. And we realised that really was where the future for us certainly was going to be. So for about the last 10 years or so we've been mainly dealing with rail companies and bus companies, ticketing solutions as well as onboard sales. So it seemed kind of logical to then look at airlines, and we then moved on to develop our rail product more for the airline market. So now that we do airlines, rail companies and buses, it kind of made sense to come to an event like this. So this is our first time at WTCE, so it's been quite exciting first day.
In terms of developing your product, what are the key differences, if there are any really, between air travel and developing a product for that, but then rail travel or bus travel?
Mm-hmm. I think there are lots of similarities between the two of them, and they both involve payments, transactions. They both involve stock control. With airlines, you get added complexities around kind of crew commissions and things that need to be taken account of. There's added complexities around different currency payments, around different tax payments, different regulations as well around taking card payments in the air that you all have to just sort of get around. So there was a certain amount of development around that. Having said that, the rail customers have more complexities in some respects in terms of stock gets put on and off trains at different points along a journey, crews change at different points along the journey. So what you start off with at one end of a long journey and what you end up with in terms of stock and crew is often very different, which isn't the same for airlines. So there are kind of some subtle differences that we've had to develop the product a little bit more.
And in terms of your product, you've got some example product down here. Tell me about your neat device here, this all-in-one.
Yeah, with pleasure. So this is the ECR Go-To handheld device. That would get delivered to the aircraft, usually with the catering. The idea being that the cabin crew just literally switch it on, and then they're good to go. It'll have been pre-programmed essentially with all of the flight information for that day, potentially passenger information as well, all of the products, all of the stock. The crew can just quickly check that the stock that's on here is the stock that they have, and they can adjust it if they want to. And then they can just go through the aircraft. They can go through, say, business class and log complimentary food and drinks they give it away, and then move into, say, standard class and just process sales using the touch screen. When they want to take payment, you can just switch the unit over and do a contactless payment, card swipe. Where it's allowed, you can do mobile, watch payments, Apple payments, etc. There's a receipt printer at the end, so you can produce a receipt if needs be.
And a scanner as well. So I mean, this is kind of 3-4 devices all in one here.
And that was the big kind of mission, if you like, in producing this, was to produce. Traditionally, some airlines and train companies have looked at having some kind of tablet device and then a separate Bluetooth printer and then a separate payment piece. So that's 3, maybe 4 things that need charging, that can be dropped, that can go missing, that can break. So they're all things that can go wrong. So we've kind of combined everything into one unit. The payment unit that actually comes off, so it actually is a separate unit, and just sits back and it connects using a mini USB connection. So as soon as that kind of goes in and connects, it becomes one unit. Scanner's built in at the end. Battery just sits under here. We have what we call a hot swap battery, because it's a question that all airlines ask and train companies. What if the battery runs out? If the battery runs out mid-transaction, it doesn't matter. You can change that it's a hot swap battery. You can take the battery out, put a new one in, and there's a little power cell that will store that little bit of power just so you don't lose any data, don't lose any transaction. But the battery life is about 8 or 9 hours, so that's generally enough for a long flight.
Really interesting stuff. Just before we go, talk to me about the Passenger Technology Solutions. How's the show been for you? What are you hoping to get from being here this year?
Well, as I say, it's the first time we've been to this event, and in fact, it's the first time that we've been to an event like this. Really, we've tended to sort of build up our business through recommendations, through just your word of mouth. So we feel that we got to the point where we needed to come to an event like this. And I say it's day one. We didn't really know what to expect, but it's been a really good morning so far. I mean, we've had a number of really interesting people come and find us, actually seek us out. Which has been fantastic. People that have said, oh, we knew you were going to be here, we wanted to actually see it and look at it. So that's been good fun. So no, I've been really impressed. I just really hope that the next 2 days are as good as today, because I'll be extremely happy.
Really, really good to speak to you, Mark. Thank you very much indeed.
No problem at all. Thanks a lot.
Cheers.